Okay, so I've provided instruction on how to get the whole thing started in BlueJ. And I've done a video where I did the constructor with you. Then I talked about the word null, the value null for objects. That helped us get through count A students. And that null introduction will also help us get through maxClassAverage, in which we have to return the student, right? Return the student, not the max average, but the student with the maximum class average at the end of the method. So I guess we can do it a couple different ways. I think the simplest way is to create some student and then return it. Maybe call it stu max, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Stu greatest, stu max average, I don't know. Stu max average like that. Now, I don't see in our directions any guarantee that there's at least one student in the matrix. If there was a guarantee that size was bigger than 0, then you could do stu max average equals seating chart 0, 0. Just put the top left kid into stu max average. But I don't see a guarantee of that, so be careful. Sometimes the AP exam will guarantee it, that the size of something is at least 1, but not always. And I don't see it in this one. So I better not do that. I don't want to assume any directions. Instead, I'll just make a new student who's got a 0 class average. So what's a student need to be constructed? It needs a name. It needs a grade level. And it needs an average. So that'll work right there. If that's too abstract for you right now, if you're too much into weekend mode right now, you can make up a silly name, like Jane Doe or something, and a silly grade level. But 0 is what you want to have here. You can't have a negative grade. I don't think that's possible, right? Have you ever had negative points in a class? I don't think I've ever given negative points in a class. But all you have to do is just empty string 0, 0, or if you want 0.0, doesn't matter. And so we'll loop through and find the student with the largest average, greatest average. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste and be lazy. This same old nested loop. And so I'll make the mistake again. I'll say if seating chart of row column do you see the mistake? I'm forgetting about the null positions in period 2. And so I'm going to have a null pointer exception again. I'm not checking to make sure there is a student at every position, and I need to. Okay, so it compiles fine. It's not an error, it's an exception, which more or less means it's a runtime error. Okay, so we got to fix that the same way we fixed count A students. We got to say if seat and chart of row call is not equal to null on the left side. If you're looking for nulls, you got to do it first. You can't do the right side first and then check for null. Just like when you prevent dividing by 0. You got to make sure there's no 0 in the denominator. But now that should do it. Run it. In period 1, it says Tim has the highest class average, and he does, 100.1. In period 2, it says Tom does, and he does, with 99.9. When you have these long ifs, you could make it a little shorter by doing some of the work before the if. I could say student temp equals the student at this seating chart position. And then just go temp here, right? You could take out that student before the if and then play with it here. And that would work too.